This video is for Math 7, Learning Target 8-1. I can solve a two-step equation that has addition or subtraction and has multiplication. Now this is a learning target we've already practiced a little bit in the last unit, but we didn't assess it or test on it or quiz on it. So now we're going to actually get more into it, and we're going to take quizzes on it and take a test on it. So how do I solve a two-step equation that has multiplication and has adding or subtracting? We are going to do the same thing we did last unit. We're going to draw a vertical line through the equal sign. And then we're going to remember to do the opposite operations in the opposite order that those operations are done. And we always have to remember, and this is super important, every time you ever do one, you need to check your solution. So let's do some examples. This is the simplest of example where it has multiplication, and in this case, subtraction. So we need to make sure to draw a vertical line straight down through the equal sign. And then we're going to go in opposite order. Now this x is being multiplied by 3 and then subtracting 5. So we're going to deal with the subtracting 5 first. The opposite of subtracting 5 is adding 5. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. Remember to draw a big line underneath. Sometimes what I like to do is cross out the two operations that are canceling each other out, the opposite operations. Subtracting 5 and adding 5 are the opposite operations. So all that's left on the left side is a 3x. On the right side we had 22 plus 5 is 27. And we put our equals in there. And then the last step is going to be divide by how many x's there are. So there are 3 x's, so I'm going to divide by 3. 27 divided by 3 is 9, and 3x divided by 3 is x. And again, if you would like, you can cross out the 3 and the 3 because those are the two things canceling each other out. And we have x equals 9. The last step you always have to do is go back up to the original equation and put 9 in for x and see if it works out. So 3 times 9 is 27, minus 5 is 22, and that is what it was supposed to be. So the solution is correct. Let's do another example. The only difference between the example we just did in this one is that instead of subtraction we have addition, which is no big deal. But there's a negative 4x, or an opposite of 4x here. That's really important because there's one thing that people make a mistake on a lot, and we want to be careful of it in this case. So the first thing that's happening is this x is being multiplied by negative 4. The second thing that's happening is 18 is being added. So we are going to do the opposite of the second thing and subtract 18. 30 minus 18 is 12. And over here, here's the big mistake that always happens. That is a minus 4x, so we need to leave it minus 4x. Now when we do the division part, a lot of people will ask, is this right here a minus or a negative? It really doesn't matter how you look at it. You can look at it as subtracting 4x, or you can look at it as x being multiplied by negative 4. I like to look at it as x being multiplied by negative 4, because that means all I have to do is divide by negative 4. 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3, because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And negative 4x divided by negative 4 leaves me with just x. So my solution is that x equals negative 3. So I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to put in negative 3. So negative 4 times negative 3 plus 18. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12 because a negative times negative is positive. And 12 plus 18 is 30. And that is exactly what we wanted. So the answer checks out. In this third example, we have something a little bit different. We have multiplication, we have subtraction, but the thing that has changed here is that the subtraction is actually being done first because it's inside of parentheses. That's okay. Just remember the rule. Do the opposite in the opposite order. So in this case, the second thing being done is the multiply by 3. So we're actually going to divide by 3 first. When we divide by 3, that makes this go away, and all we have left is x minus 8. And negative 30 divided by positive 3 is negative 10, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And now the last step we have is minus 8, and the reverse of minus 8 is plus 8. And so those go away, and we have x equals 10 negatives plus 8 positives. They're opposite of each other, so they conflict. And there are more negatives, so the answer is negative. And there are 2 more negatives, so the answer is negative 2. So then I'm going to remember to check my answer. So 3 times negative 2 minus 8 equals negative 30. Negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10. And 3 times negative 10 is negative 30, so that checks out. So remember in this one, since the subtraction is done first because it's in parentheses, that's the last thing we will undo. And instead, this time, we divided by 3 first. In another learning target in this unit later on, I'm going to teach you a second option for solving problems like this. Let's do one more example. This is the same idea. We have addition and we have multiplication, but the addition is inside parentheses, so it should be done first, which means the multiplication is what we're going to undo first. So I'm going to divide by negative 4. Now again, people always ask, is that a minus 4 or a negative 4? This is negative 4 times what's in the parentheses. So those go away, and all I have left is x plus 9. 40 divided by 4 is 10, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then the last step is to get rid of this plus 9 by subtracting 9 on both sides. And 10 minus 9 is 1. So then I'm going to check this. Negative 4 times 1 plus 9 equals 40. Sorry, negative 40. 1 plus 9 is 10. And negative 4 times 10 is negative 40. So this checks out. And you should always circle your solution at the end also. So that's how we do two-step equations.